Oh my goodness. Welcome to the new Chrissie Mayr podcast studios. This is so exciting. Oh, I can hear a little bit of echo in my headphones over here. I'll just ignore that. We have been working on this new studio for about a year now. I remember this time last year I was pregnant, and I decided I really wanted to take the opportunity to make a new podcast studio. And so we did a give, send, go. We met our $5,000 goal thanks to you guys. We bought everything that you see here: the couches, the mics, new monitors, lights. I said microphones. These tables that fall over if you touch them. And yeah, big shout out to everybody. I put all the donors' names on this cool plaque here: Michael Malice, Rocky Pintozzi, Amy Taylor, Crash Mondo Jr., Matthew Hammond, Wolfie, Carmen Studer, Treasure Dave, Brandon Muse, Eric O'Sullivan, West the Sports Guy, P. Peach, Bradley Bergen, Ian Soforth, Gustopheles, Butchie Hunt, Scott W. Berwick, Berserker, Philippe Brassard, Big Poppy, Frank Cameron, Big Pete Bear, Robert Cusack, Mark Perfetti, Miguel Montoya Jr., GJJ, and EA. So thanks to all of you who donated $100 and up. Now you're on not the Wall of Shame. We'll call it the Wall of Fame, which will live here in the studio. There is more work to be done, but we got enough together to at least get started. So tonight is our first episode of NightMayr, and I'm so happy to be joined tonight by, I guess, our first real guest. He was the operations manager over at Compound Media, and he currently has a show running on iHeartMedia. Welcome, Mr. Erik Nagel.
Hi, Chrissie. How are you?
This is so exciting and surreal.
Thank you for having me on your boring show.
It's too boring
for most. For most.
Too boring for Opie.
Yeah.
For Greg Opie Hughes.
It's a shame. But I enjoy your new studio that you got out of Pottery Barn. It looks fantastic.
Really? Does it look like Pottery Barn?
It does. You just need an apothecary table right here, and you've got the whole set going.
I was really trying to not have it look like
it's
white girl aesthetic.
Oh, no, because that would be IKEA and glowing lights and
Target.
Your name written in neon letters behind you and all that stuff.
Well, I do have a neon letter sign.
Right, but see, that's in a regular readable font. All the girls that stream on Twitch, the video game streamers stuff, it's all in like a cursive kind of thing.
I was about to order a cursive for this wall.
Of course you were.
We'll scratch that idea. Cancel it. Cancel
Yes.
the order. And I should have moved the mic. The mic is a little bit like blocking your face.
It's fine.
I can see your beautiful face.
The less you can see of me, the better.
We haven't even so much as like really. This furniture has been sitting here for months, and now that I'm actually sitting it, I'm like, wow, because I wanted it to look like something I wouldn't be ashamed to have Jordan Peterson sit in. Do you know what I mean? I wanted like. Okay,
that's the goal, Jordan Peterson. Okay.
If he were
that's
to show up here,
the level we're trying to get to.
Yeah. If he were to show up here, would I be embarrassed to have him sit on that couch?
Which version of Jordan Peterson?
I think like dual colored jacket Jordan Peterson.
Okay.
Would be nice. How many versions are there?
I don't know. So every time I see a clip, he's got a different personality going. So
well, he almost died. He's had
no excuse.
Health problems.
Yeah.
There's no excuse.
No excuse. Be a professional.
He was on and off meds, but who isn't? Who isn't? Yeah.
His daughter.
I've already had like multiple. I love Michaela. She's a doll. She looks great. She had a baby, and then within 2 weeks, she was like back out there, looking like she never had a baby. I don't understand the people that can do this. I remember everyone was like,
"We just got a super chat."
What?
Jonathan
Super chat? Oh
has just tipped $10 through super chat. Wow, new studio. I didn't know you were getting one. Will the new studio have an audience at some point?
Over a Compound. Wow, new studio. I didn't know you were getting one. I could just read it off my phone if it's
on screen with it.
It's
not.
It's not though. But that's fine. See, I'm happy to even have somebody working here. Okay, well, wow, new studio. I didn't know you were getting one. Will the new studio have an audience at some point? I don't know if maybe. I don't know if there's room. Where would we put them?
I don't know. You took the bleachers from the last place, so you could just set it up over there in the other room.
Put the bleachers. You can look from. I'll leave the door open. You can look from out there.
Yeah, maybe take this wall down, put a glass panel in there.
Yeah.
Make it a sort of a fishbowl.
Oh, wouldn't that be nice?
Aesthetic, yeah, you could do that.
Oh, thank you, Jonathan. I miss you. I miss all the bleacher creatures that would come to Compound. It was jarring. Do we get another super chat? The dump clips. Thank you for the super chat.
Has just tipped $5 through super chat.
Oh,
woo soup.
I was like, it's pronounced woo soup. Woo soup with you.
It's their intro for the Garrett and Steve show.
Which have you been there in person?
I have not been there, but the wallpaper hypnotizes me enough to watch it every night.
It is.
So it keeps calling me. It's been implanted subconsciously.
Yeah, it's like a siren song.
Yeah,
like the mermaids that give you AIDS from the ocean. I forget what that lore is. What's the
mermaids?
Thing? Aren't there mermaids in the ocean? If you listen to them sing
the siren song,
the siren song
that would bring sailors to their deaths.
Yeah, and then they would get chlamydia or something. Well, I don't know exactly what the details were, but it wasn't good. They would die.
No, it's a humorous story.
It was, and
and then mermaids turned out to be manatees.
The sea cows.
Yeah.
Yes. That's how I feel. 11 months after giving birth. Still, I'll snap back. It'll happen. Erik, I don't know if this is something you have talked about too much yet, but now that it's been, June, July, August, September, October, January,
I like you're an adult counting on your fingers.
It's been 8 months since Compound, as we know it, shuttered its doors.
Right.
How did you feel and also how did you get the news that Compound was going to be over or merging?
The merger itself was trying to happen for at least a year and a half to 2 before it actually happened. But there were a lot of things upon discovery that we had found out that it was not going to be a good idea to do the merger. But then after Anthony had his unfortunate incident,
his quadruple bypass, not just 1 or 2 bypasses, all of the bypasses.
He had to max it out. The fall of, what was it? Fall of 23, right?
I remember because
fall of 23.
Right, Keanu
September.
and Gino had just gotten engaged. We had just done a show at the Masons, like a Mason lodge here in Westchester, and I think that was September, because I remember Anthony was drinking wine, which we thought was strange for him, and then I think he ended up doing karaoke late that night with like Keanu and Gino, and then there was a night that he maybe slept in the studio or something.
Possible.
And then like shortly after that, he had it.
Yeah. So in the fall, he had that incident, and then he didn't really come back until he did, I think, 1 or 2 shows in December. And then January was when he was back pretty much full time. At that point, he was just like, I and rightfully so. He's like, I can't keep doing this. After that, I just want to live my life, because at that point, who knows how many years you have left.
When you have a big health scare like that, I would say most people probably don't live through that. Right.
So he was just like, I don't want to keep running this whole thing. And it made sense. I understood, especially after that. You're like, all right, for as much as we were trying to prevent all of that from happening, made perfect sense. And so he wanted to pursue going through with a merger. And over that time, I was only told what I needed to be told, so if he hadn't told me, and I know a lot of you guys were coming up, it's like, what's going on with this? 9 out of 10 times I had no idea, because I found out after the fact, or he only told me when he felt I needed to know something.
That must have been frustrating, because you're the operations manager. You're essentially your many roles lumped into one. You're the general manager. You're dealing with, I would say, several different positions.
Right.
And you're kind of like a right-hand man, so to speak. So I don't know. Did you ever feel like, well, why wasn't I clued in to these conversations?
Yes and no. I mean, not for most of it, but I mean, it's his company. I was brought in late in the game. Keith brought me in, and Keith worked really hard to convince me to come in, and then not knowing that Keith was looking to get out. So I came in, and then like a year and a half later was the pandemic, and all of a sudden Keith's like, out, it's all on you. And I woke up one morning to a phone call, and he said, yeah, I'm done. What do you mean you're done? It's like we had just shut down, not just because compound, but everything had just shut down. This was like 2 months after the world shut down, and everybody was trying to figure out how to work from home and all this stuff. And Keith was done. He just was done.
Wow.
So now it was 100% on me. So I was like,
Keith was handling like what, all the financials.
I had nothing to do with finances with that company. That was all Keith. That was Anthony, and that was Ant's financial people. And so I just did everything but money. I was told
but money,
everything but money. And that's also the place you want to be in. You never want to be the guy in charge of money or dealing with the money, because then you're the first to, if something goes wrong, you get blamed because you're in charge of that. Or if something goes missing or something's questionable, then, you're responsible for that. When you have nothing to do with the money, it's like, I have no idea. I'm told after the fact. The merger stuff, when he was letting me know as I needed to know, it's his company. He could do whatever he wants. I'm there at the pleasure of him, so that I just did what he wanted me to do. So that's what I did. And whether I agreed with it or not, I would tell him. But ultimately, it comes down to whatever Ant wanted to do. That's what we're going to do. So they wanted to move on with the merger, and I thought we had at least a year. And then I found out that it was done. I wasn't even there. I was in Dallas filling in for Dave Landau on his show on The Blaze.
Okay, yeah, you're doing Normal World.
Yeah, so they had me out there filling in for a couple of days, and one day we're doing the show, and I'm looking down. I see the light on my phone going off. I was like, "What the hell is going on?" And I'm seeing who it's from, and it's people from Compound. So can't do anything. We finish the show, done. I walk off the set, and I go into the back there, and I call up Luby. What's going on? They told me about the infamous firing of everybody, and I go, "What?" Yeah. And then I talked with Garrett. I talked with Drew. I talked with Steve, and then I found out Gino was there for all of this. So, I talked with him too. And I originally was told, because Gino had called me that morning. He's like, "Do I need to be at this meeting?" I go, "Not from what I understood. It was supposed to be like some kind of tech meeting or an update about where the merger was going."
Gino were like, and you were the only people not there. But at that point, there were so few of us anyway.
Right. But if I was supposed to be a part of this whole thing there, I would have been there for that whole thing. And this happened while I purposely wasn't there. And it turned out that Gavin just didn't want to wait for the merger. So he's like, "Here you go. Whatever he threw down for an agreement was signed, and that it was going to be done." And then everybody had 2 weeks. I had to stay on, I think, another week or so after that, because I was the admin. So all I'm doing is, it wasn't just us running that company. We had third-party vendors all over the place. For Apple, for Amazon, for Roku, the website people, the app people.
Wow.
They were all like upstate New York and California, wherever Amazon's based, all those places. And the creditor companies too. So we got to do, my whole job at that point was set up a meeting, introduce our guys to the Censored people. Here's the handshake, and I'm off, remove myself off of that. And then I think after 4th of July, I was officially done. And they kept, that's something else I'll tell you later on. There were problems. There were problems for the next 2 months that were not my concern.
Problems.
But at that point, that's when the merger just was done. Like, we thought we still had time to make everything happen, kind of ease into the whole thing. And I guess, if you got deep pockets and little patience, that's what happens. And it was done. So, all right, it was done. What could I do? It had nothing to do with me, and was what it was. And even to like this day, it was played out, some of the stuff with the aftermath, all of that. I know some of it with you, a lot of it on Gino's programs. Garrett and Steve have talked about it, and they all had, it's become funny storylines that Drew took all the equipment. Garrett and Steve are like, where's our equipment? We were supposed to share. Anthony didn't know about it, found out.
And then Drew ended up giving most of it to Gino and Keanu, and then
a couple of things to Garrett.
Yeah, a couple things.
And Steve, and then Anthony finding out that Bill Schultz took his jacket and had it altered. Like, there was all these fun storylines.
Jacket, what's the jacket that he
wore? It's the mayor's jacket that he wore for. Yeah, the blue with the anchors and all that from Jaws. And so all this stuff was going on, and I wasn't involved with any of that. I didn't get anything past that point. I'm not complaining. It's just like, all right, I'm done. I walked away and was doing my other stuff. And there's still, to this day, people are saying, why don't you complain about, how they fucked you over and things? Like, they didn't fuck me over. Like, I understand, like, how you felt and Gino felt, because Gavin was kind of dangling something over you.
Made us feel like we were going to be brought on for the same pay.
Right.
And we thought, cool, like, and we might even have a studio that we can go and use that's nearby.
That's what I mean, from what I understood, that's what I was told, that there was a couple of things he was looking to bring over. It was you two and the military show that we had. 21 Gun. It was you three guys that you were three shows that were supposed to move over to the platform.
What a load of
and then
BS.
That didn't happen, and I don't really fully understand what happened with the 21 Gun guys, but I think they're on a veteran network or something now. But all that was supposed to happen, and then it didn't. And then people were like, "Why aren't you angry?" It's like, I wasn't offered anything. I didn't ask for anything. So what am I going to complain about? It sucked the way it happened. Yeah. Is it unfortunate the way it happened? Absolutely. Where everything's gone down. But what can I do? It wasn't my company. I was just there to do a job, and that was it. So people think I should have been shitting on Anthony this whole time, and I haven't. Like, why would I need to?
Well, because that's what people salivate over.
They want conflict, they want drama, they want all that stuff. And I get it.
People love tea.
But I had no legit reason to be mad at that point. So, and I had talked to Anthony a few times after that all went down, and we were perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Everybody, I couldn't speak out for everybody else, because that's however you felt, or how Gino felt, or the other guys felt. What was I going to do?
Yeah, at the end of the day, now that the dust is settled, they go, well, it was not a typical company. There were many things that were lax. There was no, annual, there were no like meetings to check in. It wasn't like any other job.
It wasn't
or any
a corporation.
Other boss. It wasn't, there were no even, I went to one holiday party.
You were
and that
all
was
adults, that you knew how to conduct yourselves, and you knew how to do your own shows. He didn't need to supervise you. He didn't need to have not annual, but like weekly, monthly meetings.
It would have been
and all
nice
that
to
stuff.
know like what the numbers were, to be like, how well is the show doing? How many subs have we brought in? How many people watch on a given day? Or which episodes did really well? Which episodes did not do well? Which guests did people not like?
Well, I can tell you this: you could the guest thing. I have no idea. I mean, I guess
for that you just go off of Twitter, who's commenting, like, all right, people love Violet Brandoni.
Even that's not accurate. I mean, you could say, well, everybody hated this guest. Why? Because look at all the shit that doesn't mean they hated them.
Not even most viewers are even on Twitter, I bet.
Well, even if they were, it's the engagement of your post or the engagement of the episode that's up there. It's like, all these people hate that guest, right? But look how many people are engaging with this thing. So there's something to that, or look how many people love this guest.
Yeah.
If you get no response, then people didn't like what was on there, or they just didn't care enough. Because a lot of people watch the content, they pay for the content, but they don't reach out to the people on the show. They don't post things. A lot of people. Yeah. Any platform has that. You based on their metrics and stuff, you look and you go, there's a whole chunk of this audience that has no interaction. They watch, they subscribe, they pay, they just don't talk to you. They don't post anything, they don't do anything, and that's fine. They're
called lurkers. Yes. They just watch and then go about their lives.
But you could see, based on the shows as they were being eliminated, budget wise or whatever, but the shows that were eliminated first were the lowest watched shows.
Okay.
Or the lowest downloaded shows or something like that. So if people who I'm sure monitored that stuff, you see
Yeah.
where the cuts started happening. And then it got to a point where it just became price. And things got cut. And that's pretty much it. You know, it was all at the pleasure of Anthony, of what he wanted to do and how things were going. And after the heart attack, I don't fault him at all.
No.
Like at that point in his life,
he had to focus on himself.
He's just like, I don't want to be the boss. I don't want to own anything anymore. And that's what it was. Could it have been handled better? Absolutely. But
yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah. Had he been healthy, had that not happened, would it have been nice if like several months earlier, had he come to New York, maybe, I'm not saying you have to take everybody out to dinner, but like we all could have met up. We all could have had maybe a team meeting, at least so we're not completely blindsided. Like, yeah, that would have been cool. But I think you, similar to me, like Compound was not the only job we had.
No.
And so it's not like all my eggs were in the Compound.
It was
basket.
a main focus, you know, because that's why I was there and that's what he wanted. He wanted somebody to take care of everything so he didn't have to. So that's what I did. But I also had other jobs. I had other shows I was consulting and dealing with. I had my thing with iHeart and that was a whole juggling act between iHeart and Compound, because it got to the point where iHeart didn't want me mentioning Compound ever.
Really?
Yeah. It got so bad. Once they started to see the things associated with that company, they were like,
well, that sucks.
They're like, are you on, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm not on the air. I'm not doing any of that stuff, you know, based on clips that came out from shows.
So you, on your iHeartRadio show, it's Erik Nagel with iHeartRadio.
Mm-hmm.
You can't even mention that you work for Compound Media.
It was strongly advised not to.
Who told you that?
People there.
People who work there.
So anytime I brought it up, I had to say at the other place. Is how I used to put it on the.
You have to say the other place.
I would just say, you know, something was going on at the other place, or we had such and such in at the other place, right? I'll tell you how some of the things work behind the scenes over there. It is mind blowing, the political and social views at the top, and the political and the social views of the people on the main level who have to execute everything.
Who work so basically like the elite corporate like C-level peeps versus like the worker bees are totally different politically. You're
talking corporate national tier, regional tiers, local tier. Like it's a bloated company. So we'll pause because I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of fat jokes in the chat.
Stop it. He's lost weight, you guys. You're not going to be able to make these fat jokes for long.
And the way everything's run is just certain parts here feel this way. Things up here feel a different way.
So the top was very lefty lib, and people who worked there, opposite.
Other way around.
The top was right wing.
Is
right wing, and then but the middle management is lefty, and the people who work there are lefties.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah. So it was a whole thing. So so I just would refer to it as the other place.
The other place.
And that was it, because there was really no reason to cross. For at one point in time, it was weird because I'm like, the audience over here thinks I'm too liberal, and the audience over here thinks I'm too conservative.
Wow.
But I go, but if I switch the shows, they would still hate the programming.
Like, you're still you have this, you're the same person in both
because
spots.
of the jokes, commentary, ways of viewing things, laughing at clips of people having accidents or whatever. A lot of the people over there are thinking like, you're, a shithead conservative, you're evil, you don't care about people, whatever.
Wow.
And then the stuff I was doing with Brian Johnson over at Compound, they were saying, oh, you're too soft and left leaning. And I'm like, what? I don't even do politics. And so I'm like, well, do I switch the shows on the platforms? And then they're okay. But it's just the mindset of who listens on this platform and who watches on that platform. It's never going to be, they're never going to be happy with what I'm doing. So it's like, I'll just continue doing what I think is the right thing.
Yeah.
And if they're there, they're there. If they're not, they're not.
I've sort of gotten the sense too that it's Sirius XM. It's like it's a bit lefty over there. Like, it just feels.
It's a clusterfuck over there.
Not necessarily like the people all doing shows. Like, some of them are, but it just seems like their managers seem to have a a liberal bias, just from like what I hear from some of the talent.
It depends. I mean, at one point while we were doing Opie and Anthony, the hallway in the hallway across from us, Steve Bannon was doing his show, and that was this was before
the War
Trump
Room?
was even a thought of running. So you're talking 12, 13, 14, 2000.
So many eye bags ago for Steve Bannon.
We would see him, and I didn't know who he was at the time. And when he started getting more into the political spotlight, especially with the 2015 exploratory stuff, 2016 for the campaign, and it was reminded me, it's like, that's the guy. He would come in with like a really rundown sweatshirt and camo shorts and these like New Balance sneakers, and he would be the guy running off to the kitchen getting coffee and pretzels and then coming back to his thing. Always looked unkempt and unshaven and stuff. I had no idea who he was. And then as time went on, I'm like, that's the guy that was in the Jim Brewer studio that across from us in the morning.
That's pretty cool.
But yeah, they had everybody on there. But a lot of the management at that place were all people who fucked up in the radio and television business and had nowhere else to go. And they were running satellite like how they were failing at regular radio. And like, it's like you're supposed to take chances and think outside of the box and take a risk on trying new things. And they're still going by super tight playlists. This music channel, it's the new music channel, but it only has like 75 songs programmed. It's like, no one's going to listen to that shit just like it's regular terrestrial radio, but you're programming it. Yeah, whatever.
Wow.
That's why they're in the shape that they're in. They're a financial mess right now.
Just too slow to make changes. Like kind of like
they're way behind.
Trying to turn the Titanic around. Whereas like you have a place like Compound, very like flexible and free with the content.
Very good. Very ahead of the curve on a lot of these things. The problem with Compound was the content, and it wasn't that it wasn't fun or entertaining or whatever, but for advertising, for guest booking, for the PR world, which say whatever you want about celebrities, I feel the same way, but the publicists run the entertainment world. So if the publicity firms don't like your venue or don't like what you're doing, you're fucked.
They're not going to recommend their talent.
Right.
Like, that means then, you have to have your own talent, basically.
And they all talk to each other. So then they all know that don't bring your guest. We had a guest that had a problem on this show here. Don't ever send your clients over to that place again. But because of Compound, you couldn't get regular advertising because of the content everybody was saying.
Was it really that bad? I mean, I had one episode where we had someone played ring toss with their butt, but other than that, it was mostly conversations.
Right. But the perception that's put out there is all that they need to sell their or make their decision on what they're doing.
Perception that
when they can find clips of any of the hosts saying racial stuff, jokes.
So that's all of us. Basically.
All of that stuff there, that doesn't fly with advertising. That doesn't fly with guest booking. PR firms will not put any of their clients anywhere near any of that stuff. Can't really use.
Yeah, I remember Lainey Spicer for a while. People would work with. I used to be friendly with her.
But she also represents guests that other platforms wouldn't even take.
Right.
Not knocking Lainey. She's good at what she does. But her clientele were all people that regular shows and radio shows wouldn't take in the first place. So she was filling a void for
them,
for them and getting them on platforms that would take them.
That makes sense.
It's a whole weird tier thing, but the whole stuff about where I'm going to say what I want, do what I want, and that's fine. Great. If you can, we're in an era where you can have a channel, your podcast, whatever you want to do, say what you want, you build up your audience, you're making your money that way. You don't need to work for a company. You don't need to have a boss. You don't have to worry about advertisers. You don't have to worry about PR firms with guests and everything. But for Compound, I was always told, Bill and Joanne's like, why aren't we getting more guests? Why aren't we doing that?
And they were the safest ones. Show.
But because of the company, we're on all those lists where they won't bring their celebrities.
I remember they had me do a couple Blue Chew reads, something else. I mean, I didn't seem to have that much trouble getting advertisers for my YouTube show.
Right.
So yeah, I can understand some of the the attachment I don't know. But then I guess that would be a whole nother person's job. Is like, okay, find, because think about all the shows that are on Rumble, and they probably have advertisers. It's like that's a whole other person's job to just look for advertisers that would go on these kinds of shows.
Rumble's platform is it's unique right now because of the way they run. They're not fully monitored on a lot of the safeguards that YouTube and other platforms are, which is why a lot of people can get away with things on a Rumble stream that you can't with a YouTube stream. The advertisers on Rumble are pretty much on the level of shows like you would see for InfoWars, those kind of streams. They allow gun ads on Rumble, but they don't on YouTube, right? But then they have the sexual stuff, the mental health stuff, typical podcast advertising. There was those buckets, those prepared buckets.
Oh yes, the dehydrated food like last year, 25 years.
Yeah, for a disaster, it's going to happen and thing. I saw ads for on
we
those.
Had that. That was a compound advertiser. Prepare with compound.
Right. And they made money with it. People were buying it, and that audience goes for it. But you're never going to get any kind of car company, fast food company, blue chip stocks, those kind of things, clothing advertisements, anything that for during Christmas or Mother's Day, where every company is advertising on any platform for those holidays.
We had I Hate Steven Singer.
He understood the world. He blew up because of Howard. He took a chance on Howard when nobody was taking a chance on Howard. As soon as Howard, his first affiliate was WYSP in Philly. That was the first station he got. And Steven jumped right on board and had been with him forever and just rode the wave with Howard blowing up and becoming Howard. Steven knows the game, knows how it works. He's a fan of radio. He's still doing stuff. Well, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but let's just say you'll see him again soon.
Okay.
On somebody's show. He's coming back, right?
Okay.
He does stuff with Preston and Steve in Philly and other stuff around the country because he knows. He does his own marketing. He built his marketing team around him and knows. He goes, people like these podcasts. People like these radio shows. These shows are few and far between. What's left on radio, we need to support them because other people aren't. Steven knows. He's a diamond in the rough for all that stuff. Everybody else is through sales agencies. And once you're on that list, it's almost impossible getting off that list.
So it seems like the future of finding advertisers on podcasts like the one that were on Compound Media, or maybe the ones that are currently on Rumble, or even on YouTube, or even just independent in general, maybe that's the way. It's just connecting with smaller companies, not expecting to get a corporate sponsor.
Mm-hmm.
Find somebody smaller that you can connect with that understands your personality.
Yeah, but you have to, it's almost like learning how to do your own sales too, which is not a bad thing anymore. It used to be in the days, sales and programming never.
But you can do it
with each other
because you know what your numbers are on YouTube. You know what your viewers are. You know what your downloads are across all the platforms. So
a lot of podcasters
can do that.
Are lazy. They do their show. They're good at doing their show, but they have people who will produce their show, as you should. They have people that will clip their stuff for social media because they can't do it, so they hire somebody for there. Same thing with advertising. I need to get more exposure. I need to get guests, so they'll hire somebody who can do talent booking. They'll hire somebody to do try to get ad sales for them. But those people who are doing ad sales are going through the agencies. They're not going door to door like local radio used to be. Show up at a car dealership, show up at a bodega, mom and pop restaurant, that kind of thing. If you can do that and get that on there, you're set. It's just it's a skill that doesn't exist in a lot of places anymore. Because you got to do more than just hosting your show. You got to go out and do 7 other things.
Right.
And a lot of people don't want to or don't have the mindset for that.
Yeah.
That's how you can get those advertisers back.
I don't know. I always think, why have a podcast if you don't want to book your own guests, or at least don't have the contacts to book your own guests? Like, I had the benefit of like 10 plus years in stand-up.
Right.
So it was never a problem getting guests. Never a problem getting guests for any of my YouTube shows, because it's like, I know so many people. So I just think, like, well, if you want to have a show where you're talking to people but you don't want to book people, That doesn't really quite make sense to me.
Some do. A lot don't. Some do. Some have that hustle. Some reach out to get people on their shows to do all of that stuff. They got to put in the effort, figure out, well, I can DM a person, but can I find their email? Can I find a way to get to them in a more personal manner than just posting on Twitter as a response, hey, I'd like to have you come on my show kind of thing. But a lot of people won't do that because like, I'm not going to go through all of that. They just don't want to do the work. And that's not terrible. But when you hire somebody to do all that stuff, those are the routes they go. They go through agencies, they go through PR unless they have a direct contact. And that's where that buffer is. You don't get the advertisers, you don't get the guests because you don't make that, I hate the term intimate connection, but like a personal direct connection to that. Stop.
I'm touching Eric's knee right now for those just listening.
Yeah, but you bust your ass. You do all of this stuff. You book all your things in there. So you know what it takes to get that done. The advertising is the next step. So, you know, a lot of you do a lot of diverse programming. I just saw you the other day. You're playing video games now.
Not well.
No.
But I am.
And that's fine.
Them.
You don't have to play well as long as you're entertaining. You know, there's a guy I follow. He puts a lot of clips on YouTube. I don't know if he streams on YouTube or Twitch but he just puts his stuff. I found him on YouTube. He plays horror games. And he looks like our pal Felty. He's got a bandana. He's a big guy with a beard, right? And he can't handle. He plays horror games.
The show right now.
He plays horror games, but he freaks out all the time when there's jump scares and stuff. He starts screaming and he throws.
That's me.
And he's got like he's in the 6 digits of subscribers. He makes a ton of money, and he puts himself out there screaming like a girl and getting terrified by playing any of these new horror games.
We love watching Kisco. Have you heard of him? He probably is like the top gaming streamer right now. He's this like big fat ginger, and he's like real folks. He's like, I think he's from Tennessee or somewhere. And he had like a real job. He worked maybe at a mechanic with his dad or something, and he just always loved playing video games until finally like his channel was big enough that he could quit his day job and do it full time. And it's not spelled queso like the cheese. It's spelled Caseo.
That's fat guy think.
That's
Queso recipes. No, queso. No, not Casco. Caseo.
Casio?
Queso. Case. Case. And then, OH. Fine. My bad. There we go. My bad. Caseoh.
Oh, I've seen clips of this guy playing that Subnautica game.
He's so funny. His fans are constantly sending him like diabetes books and diabetes medicine. I mean, I am worried about his health, but you know, that's probably
well, game streamers are not the most healthiest of people.
No, they're not. They're not. They don't really they're not really part of Maha. But maybe.
But I saw you playing one of the worst games to play. You were playing Cuphead.
I had listed an expert gamer to help me.
You're either amazing or completely awful at that game.
I am awful, and that my gaming expert, Maddie Mania, who you can subscribe to on YouTube, helps me. Well, some might say he carries me through certain games, but I do contribute. I get a couple pew pews and then I die.
Mm-hmm.
But I just learn by watching. Enough about me. So now we have an interesting kind of turn of events for Anthony. You know, he wraps up essentially Compound Media. It merges with Censored. He basically doesn't want to have the responsibility of running a company anymore. And I'm not sure actually. Maybe I should talk to Anthony about this. But do we know like how this radio gig even cropped up for him in the first place?
From what I understood, how it all went down is they just called him up. And they were looking for new programming, new talent. I think they have 3 hosts that had to leave because they're all running for political office.
Wow.
So they would have to leave at a certain point for once they're running, because you can't be on media like that. It's a law.
Because you'll tell everyone to vote for you.
Well, that, and then also the outlets that you're on have to give equal time if the candidates request it, right?
Didn't Trump sue somebody over that?
Well, when that last episode of Saturday Night Live before the election, they had Kamala Harris on.
Yeah.
And she came on and she did she played herself, but it was a skit, right? Because it's broadcast television, FCC rules and all of that stuff, they have to give equal time for a presidential candidate. So what they did was, I don't think Trump sued. They reached out to them and saying, we want, our equal time. And he wasn't going to go on Saturday Night Live. So what they did was they gave him 90 seconds during the Super Bowl.
Huh. Wow.
Which is amazing.
So he didn't do that through SNL. The network just gave him that.
Well, that's what they offered him, and they took it.
Wow.
And they ran ads or promos, whatever you want, during the Super Bowl, which was fantastic.
That's a way better deal.
Very liberal-leaning network, but the audience for the Super Bowl and for football, majority-leaning conservative. You couldn't get better ad placement for that. So they had his stuff running this, and that's how they worked everything out.
Oh, wow.
So it just lucked out because it was a secret. Nobody knew she was coming. And
it was a lame sketch. It was like her.
But it's brilliant on Lorne Michaels' part because he always, for whatever you think of Saturday Night Live or Lorne or whatever, he's always taken those kind of risks. He's always taken, he's rolled the dice where you can't have this guest on, or you can't, this musician can't play that song or whatever. He doesn't care. He knows what entertainment, and he'll deal with the repercussions after that. And especially where he's at now, who's going to tell him no? Right? Unless somebody died on the show, he's untouchable.
I thought he was going to wrap it up after the 50th anniversary show.
I mean, they're still in their 50th season. He could write out the season. Who knows? But point is, he rolled the dice. He knew it was going to generate enough publicity and news and everything. He's a smart guy. Has her on. Does what it is. Let the network deal with it. And that's exactly what he did. We had her on. We know this is what's going to happen. The network's not going to do anything to me, especially with all the 50th celebration stuff that was about to come out. The documentaries, the movies, the music specials, the live radio hall,
the
radio city, all of that
stuff.
So he does that, and he has her on, and then let NBC deal with the aftermath, which they did.
Okay.
It's untouchable. It was a brilliant move.
It was a good move. So they're looking for more talent. They get Anthony on. They give him the Sunday night slot, Sunday 8 to 10. He does one show, and within 48 hours, he finds out that he is syndicated, which means
that was exciting, and that was unreal. Because I had talked to him before that announcement came out, and looking at this thing, I was like, I told you this would happen.
Yeah,
like I did not that fast. Like
you thought it would.
I knew he would get syndication down the line because the deal that they were working out was they were going to have him on, and then to be local, with the opportunity of possible syndication down the line because they had like 380 something stations. That there was this opportunity down the line, and he even said so himself. He took the job. It was an opportunity. He wanted to see what would happen. He was excited about it, get the local thing. The possibility down the line was also another incentive to do this. He's like, hey, there's a possibility to get syndicated. And when we had talked, he was going to do this. I'm like, if they offered you the possibility, it means they're going to. But I'm thinking months down the line. And then they said, well, we're going to put him on Sunday nights at 8, right? At 8. And made sense because we haven't done terrestrial radio since 2009. That was the last time we did Opie and Anthony on terrestrial radio. So it's been a long time. It makes sense to see when they got to test out all the equipment, the connection to a studio to make sure. And he even said this too, to make sure he's not going to drop the N-word or something like that in there. He understood. We all understood.
Does he have a sign in his studio like "Don't say the N-word"? Just like I should put one up here.
I told him. I said, put under your monitor terrestrial radio, because sometimes you get lost in the motion of your thoughts.
I think he did put one
and
up.
Then because if you then all of a sudden it comes out like you're doing your podcast where you can say whatever you want. If you have that reminder, that it stays in your head to not say those things. It's an old radio trick that a PD taught me back in the 90s, that if you're on air, if you don't want to, a lot of people say, like those kind of
nobody
crutches,
in this room does that.
Right? Put that on the board right there in front of you. So when you're speaking, you see that. And even though you see that, it gets ingrained in your mind that you stop saying that because you see it. Same thing applied here. It's like this way, so you're not accidentally cursing or whatever. They put them on there just to test it out. We figured, all right, it's going to do a few things. Like I had anything to do with this. Then he tells me this, and he goes, the announcement's coming out in a few hours. And I was like, I told you this would happen. It was going to lead to him the syndication. Nobody could have imagined 48 hours, and they're like, yep, we've seen enough. This is
Their app use exploded, everything.
It was almost like King of Comedy. Like, you know how Rupert Pupkin was thinking, I'll go on there, and then you were right, Rupert. We were wrong. We're going to give you this show. You're going to get everything from your one appearance. That's exactly what happened here.
Whoa.
So that came out, all this. I was like, I was happy. I'm very happy for him. Like, that's fantastic. Good on him. I'm more excited about the possibility of this is reversing course on radio, because radio is just fucking dead. They've gotten rid of everything. It's still to this day. Every week we're seeing hundreds of layoffs, depending which company. It's spinning the wheel each week. Which company is going to do another mass layoff?
From one or friends.
We got
a
super chat, and it's relevant. From Jonathan Prezois. Have I been saying your last name wrong this whole time, like for years? Prezwas. I like the way I was saying it better. Ant said, I think he got the connection to Sid show from one of your friends. Really? One of my friends? I find out that AM conservative radio is still very big, and Boss listens to that channel. It's perfect for Ant. Yes, it is. Yeah,
conservative radio has always been huge. People forget about it because it's on AM radio. But like in the last couple of years, a lot of AM stations have been moving to their FM frequencies from a sister station that they shut down or whatever.
Sister station, that means a black station?
Some markets, yes, but it means a station in their cluster. And they'll move them to the FM frequency so that AM will go state to state. At night, you could hear WABC all the way down to like Atlanta, Georgia. That's how far it broadcasts. FM sounds better in a shorter radius, so they put them on both, right?
What? Okay, that's confusing to me,
it's
but
science.
I'm not going to have you re-explain it.
No, I'm not going to. So, conservative radio has always been big, and it's big on those things, but also because of apps and streaming and other things, you can just pick up conservative radio anywhere you want. AM and syndication is where it's always been. So when people think conservative talk stuff is not big anymore, it's just Fox News. No, it's bigger than you think. Yes, AM is AM. It sounds shitty, but
it sounds shitty, and it's not in Opie's new car that he bought.
No.
Hold on a second. Chris Baldessano sends us a super chat. Hi, Chris.
So you're gonna get yelled at for calling into here too?
Chris, who yelled at him?
I don't know. I saw something online that somebody was yelling at him because he called into Anthony's show.
Oh, boy. Chrissie and Eric, two of my fave people in studio. Kudos and love it. Love to Chrissie and family and E-Rock and family. Oh, thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. Very nice of you. He sings karaoke or plays golf online whenever I get the notifications that he's on.
Someone is upset that you were in the middle of a point and I interrupted it with a super chat.
That happens. It's her show. She can do what she wants.
Well, all I can say is I'll do better.
Anyway, conservative talk is alive and well. It does even better. I mean, it's doing well now. It'll continue to do well. It does even better when the opposition's in power.
You said that, yeah.
I mean, the pinpoint of when conservative radio really blew up was Rush Limbaugh when Bill Clinton won. And that's where Rush really became super famous as the voice of conservative talk radio, while the 8 years that Clinton was in power, especially when the impeachment and the scandal came around.
Blue dress, the BJs.
Yeah, all of that stuff, it blew up. Conservative talk radio does way better when the opposition's in because they have something to rally against, to fight against, to complain about. When you're in power, it's mostly you're talking about how they're doing right. And if shit goes wrong, then you're defending why shit goes wrong.
Well, that's interesting because now, even though Trump's in power and similar to when he was in his last term, it's like, yes, he's in power, but then it's like, well, the deep state or the swamp,
Right.
they're kind of like the overlords that we're fighting against that are commies or left-leaning or however
This
you want to
time
put
around,
them.
it's interesting because you get a lot of conservative programming that's either fully Trump or conservative, but not liking the MAGA stuff. So
Yeah,
it's almost
interesting.
like the liberal division of the conservative talk radio. And I'm not saying there is, but you can see where it's split. And I think that's what's kind of generating the back and forth, because you'll have conservative hosts arguing over some that are very pro-Trump, some that are like a Reagan conservative that don't agree with some of the stuff he's doing. So you're still getting that kind of opposition, but within its own thing. It's like the snake eating its own tail kind of situation.
Like a Chinese finger trap.
But it's extremely profitable, extremely popular, and he's picked he was offered a great time to come into all of this. And now that he's going to be syndicated, and I think they might move. I think he said they're going to move his time at some point.
Wow.
So he's doing Sundays now, but they're looking to the future to move him somewhere else.
What would be considered like a dope time?
For conservative talk radio? Middays. Middays is terrible for every other radio station, because the middays for a music station means that they have the radio on in the office in the background. It's playing in a mall or a deli or something like that. You're not really listening to the people online. The music's just to fill the background, so you're not.
That's what this show is for some
there.
people.
Yes, so you don't want to, unalive yourself and be with your own thoughts. You have music in the background.
Okay.
But for sports talk, for news talk, and conservative talk, middays is perfect, and even the into the afternoons is perfect for that. Even more so than mornings. So middays and afternoons, if they put him in somewhere there, and nationally.
Wow.
Because he'll either be live or he'll be live, and then other stations will just take his live show and place it somewhere else in their schedule. Doesn't matter. You're still making the money. You're still making the ad revenue, and it's just an amazing opportunity that he's getting to do this. And I think it opens the doors for a lot of other people who were, I don't want to say canceled, but like maybe they were for other people who who got kicked out of radio or off television,
like Opie.
For other people who got kicked off television or radio, where you have an opportunity to come back, where it's not just like, well, you made an off-color joke, you can't ever work again.
Mm-hmm.
It's moving back to that thing where it's like, well, fuck you. I don't care if I make it over.
They can give him a job again. Is he dead?
He's been dead for a while,
shoot.
But you could still play his old stuff. They play a ton of old radio people that are dead.
He said nappy-headed hose, right?
He did.
That's what got him in hot water. Thank you, Nurse Ratchet, for the $4.99. Of course, Chris had to send a super chat. Thank you, Nurse Ratchet.
She plays golf with him.
Oh, really?
I think it's a conspiracy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Michael Gavin.
Oh, it's your favorite.
Michael Gavin Ali. Hi, Chrissie and E-Rock. I love the new show. Very different and interesting. Best of luck. Thank you, Michael. He's probably sending that because he wants something from me.
He probably already emailed you to come on the show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I only know that he's still around because you know who Tkts is, right?
Yes. He's one of my favorite puppet content creators.
Right. So Tkts or Bedabbler or whatever you want to put him, keeps trying to avoid taking his calls, but Michael calls his show all the time, and it's one of the most hilarious things. Cardiff just mutes him, so you like.
That's great.
They're having a whole conversation. You can't hear what's going on. It's fucking fantastic.
That is great. I will get to that super chat. I have a whole rant prepared.
Oh, get to your super chats. They're paying for you.
Mulling it over. Hi, Chrissie. You given up on losing the baby weight? Let me tell you something about this. I'm sure you're a man and not a mother. It's almost like, let me tell you something about being a mother. All of the time that you had for yourself, that was working out, washing your hair, doing laundry, cleaning your house, that I all encapsulate into like time for yourself. Once you have a baby, that baby takes all of your time. Unless you're somebody who throws your kid in daycare right away because you have to go back to a day job. And like some people have to do that. I am lucky enough that I don't have a day job that I have to go into like a 9 to 5. Like this is my job. Okay. And I'm watching this baby, like I have help, but I'm basically full-time watching this baby. And it's like, to be a good mother, you have to kind of, I'm not saying you have to be a martyr, but like, every day I'm making the decision of like, oh, do I want to use my childcare to go to the gym, or do I want to use the childcare to like earn a living and work for a couple hours? And so decisions get made. The thing is, no, I have not given up. First year is real tough though.
Should I not brought that dozen donuts? Was that wrong?
No, I'll probably eat the donuts.
Okay.
And if you're breastfeeding,
nice.
my God, is that hard. This is what they don't tell mothers. And like you really should, if you have a baby, do your darndest to breastfeed for as long as you possibly can. But that is a full-time job. You literally spend about 5 to 6 hours a day doing it. Either you're pumping or you're actually breastfeeding your kid. This person probably has no clue about any of that. Look, I'm a milk machine. I'm trying to run a company here. The long and short of it is like, I think I have literally no time, and the time that I do get a babysitter and get help, I use it to do this. So I don't know. It's either spend time with your kid and be the best mom you can, or like, and I know moms who they have multiple nannies and like many people watching their kid, and they have just all the time in the world to like spend on themselves. And I don't know, I guess I'm just not that kind of mom right now.
What if we got one of those standing working desks and you could put a treadmill right under it?
Let's do that. Yeah. I'm not looking for suggestions, E-Rock. Okay. I was just going to rant.
Thigh master? You could just sit there and did
no,
they even make
and
that
here's
anymore?
The thing. I used to be very judgmental of ladies who had not lost their baby weight right away.
Mm-hmm.
But, and that's the thing, if you're...
Did you do the old Perez Hilton circle the problem areas on their photos when you put them on?
Oh, yeah, I know what the problem areas are, E-Rock.
Yeah.
I know what the problem... E-Rock's just happy that he's not the one getting fat comments for a change.
It's been happening, I'm sure. I haven't looked at the chat. I'm sure it's there.
No, I get it. And it's just... It's hard because... here's the thing. You can't really, while you're breastfeeding, you can't eat the way that you should to be losing weight, because you're literally a milk factory. So you have to like it
gets into the milk.
You have to kind of eat more and different things to.
Garlic butter saw I love you, Rock. You hooked me up with 4 months.
You don't even understand. You sent me $2. You probably didn't deserve all this long ass of a rant. Hellraiser, thank you for the.
So you can't do stuff that's like.
I can't basically starve myself.
Like aspartame or the zero sugar
stuff. No, and let me tell you, not only I'm not drinking anymore, I haven't had a real cup of coffee in like 2 years, because I do decaf, because caffeine can get into the breast milk, and I used to have like lots and lots of coffee. So what? Because I don't want to.
The kid stays up all night.
I don't want to jack the baby up and have it so he can't fall asleep. I used to drink a lot of coffee, so now I'm on decaf. I'm not having my White Claws, and I don't have my I used to have Celsius like 1 or 2 a day, plus coffee, plus like, I was working out like basically 4 times a week.
As I drink my Zoa.
So that was sort of like a natural high. So there's just, I don't know. I don't regret it, but the people don't appreciate how much you have to give up and sacrifice when you have kids. I get maybe 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night, and it's brutal, but it's worth it. Okay. Thank you, Hellraiser, for the $10. Juan C. Cown, garlic butter. I love you, E-Rock. You hooked me up with 4 months of combat media during COVID when I was broke as fuck. You're a sweetheart.
Well, you're welcome.
Were you allowed to do that?
How'd that work out? I don't know. Is he still subscribed? I've heard from people that it's been a difficult thing over there.
Oh, yeah. I've seen the comments.
Yeah.
Yeah. From Ellie, the first metamorphosis. Thank you for the super chat. There's a 10 next to his name. What does that mean? He's 10 years old?
That could be 10 months.
10 months? Cool. Yo, E-Rock. First time, long time. What's your favorite O&A moment?
Oh, Jesus. I don't know. That shows, we were doing that show for so long. It's hard to pinpoint down to one, but I think that the moment that we went back to terrestrial radio, we worked the deal out with satellite so that we were taking over for David Lee Roth because he failed in a big way.
Oh no.
So they brought us back, and us being back on terrestrial radio syndicated while doing satellite, I think that was probably my favorite moment that I can think of right now.
Okay.
Because that had never been done. And it was such a great redemption story for O&A.
Wow.
After their big public firing and then not allowed to work for like almost 2 years. To finally come back to the company that fired them and had to pay them out fully.
Oof.
It's like, we have nobody else. We need you back. And then the show came back. So doing it from Howard's old studio was fantastic too.
I was there the other day doing Andrew Wilcox. Is it Wilcox? I think so. I think it's Wilco.
Is it Wilco?
Yeah, I think it's Wilco Majority was his show.
Yeah, he used to be at Sirius.
He's on.
Is he still at Sirius?
He is. Sirius XM. That I think it's the Patriot Channel.
Yeah.
Oh, and they still have Howard's studio. It just looks completely blacked out.
It's been converted. All his guests sit on a couch with an 80-inch flat screen, and they look at like where Howard's console would be is the TV.
And he does it from home.
We were
still,
sitting
right?
there like this. And I'd be looking over here. So that when they cut to Howard at his home studio, it looks like the guest has line of sight with Howard.
Oh, yeah. How weird.
Yeah, they gutted it
during
the pandemic. He only comes back in a few times for certain guests and stuff. But a lot of the time he does it from his house in the Hamptons.
Must be nice. Chipicus.
It's great if you can get it.
Says, how have you and the family been, Chrissy? Are you going to have another stand-up at Utica or Syracuse? I laugh at Syracuse because that was the show that I bombed, the worst I've ever bombed in my life. And that was the show where my dad decided to like randomly just show up and come to a show. I think that's why I bombed. But he's dead now. So maybe I will go back to Syracuse.
What if he showed up then?
Oh my God, in ghost form?
Would you bomb then if he showed up?
No, I'd probably be like, oh my God, let's catch up. Zatochi, the virus lives. Mulling it over. Good answer, Chrissy. Have you considered Ozempic? No! Ozempic gives you forever diarrhea. How do you people not know this by now?
Yeah, so did remember like 20 years ago, there was that brand of potato chips?
Yes, Olean?
Yeah, I forgot. Is that what?
Oh.
Yeah, it whatever that chemical was. I think it was like Lay's had a special kind of dietary chip. And then all it was doing was making people's ass leak.
Oh my God. You know what you can see in the camera, what I didn't realize? I have my armband on. That's for tennis elbow. Oh,
I thought it was for Black Power.
You made the shitty comment about, I have tennis elbow from being a mom. They don't tell you that. But it's like, literally, I'm like injuring myself from being a mom. And I have plantar fasciitis from carrying the baby around barefoot. They don't tell you you're going to get that when you get pregnant.
Jesus.
Yeah, my elbow's
just hire somebody and don't touch the kid.
No, I love him.
All right.
It's physically
it seems to be the cause of all your physical ailments.
It's so grueling. And I'm not a complainy type person, but it's hard. And not enough people are complaining. What's up, Treasure Dave? Treasure Dave from the sign. The Treasure Dave studio looks great. Love you, Chrissy and Frake, but no homo. Red Walnuts. Aunt is saying Chrissy's friend made the WABC. I need to know who this friend is. Can we please barrage Anthony with questions until we get the name of this person? Which means that's cool. I'm gonna take full credit for Anthony's triumphant return to radio.
Then,
because I keep confusing triumphant with triumphant.
Well, you should pester him and go, "Hey, I want to be a guest on your show."
I will pester him. So is he now going to be officially uncanceled then, since he's come back?
I guess so. I guess that's what's happening here, because I think tomorrow night is his first syndicated show.
Wow. Okay. So
I could be wrong on that. They may have just made the announcement, but I thought it was this Sunday they were going to start it, but maybe they're not. I don't know. I'll have to ask him. He would know. I would not.
Wow.
But I'm very happy for him. Again, not just because this is great for him, and it's a fantastic story for, one, a redemption arc, two, how many people it's been pissing off and making them miserable because he's got
the hate articles are already coming out.
And three, the possibilities of what it could do for other people who have
not Opie though
lost their jobs for whatever reason I've said this forever, not that you would know, but I've said this forever on my show and other places where the radio industry is so bad right now because of the way the corporations run everything. It's not even a matter of just, corporate has this view on certain things. They mismanaged it for so long that they can no longer rely on their debt being so valuable that they can't fail. They've been firing all these people for the last, I think since August. It's been nonstop. There's really no shows left on radio. The only way it's going to survive is these bigger corporations. They got to sell off a lot of these stations or fold or something like that. And you got to have these eccentric owners that come in and buy these stations and take chances that want to hire talent, to want to hire programming in order to compete. Because nowadays when these you're competing against the lingo was the people across the street. Well, the people across the street are now 7 studios down the hallway from you.
Wow.
Because they own almost all the stations in whatever market you're in. You can't fight other shows. You can't go after other stations. You can't do anything that's going to hurt the audience of another station, because even though you're doing what you think is best for business, for your show, your station, whatever, well, you're taking away the audience from that station, so you need to stop. Why?
Wow.
Well, because you're hurting the whole cluster. So when those stations are sold off, like the company that owns ABC right now, they own all these other stations, but they only own one station in New York.
Wow.
So they're willing to take these chances and all that stuff. That's what I'm looking forward to. These smaller owners, or even if they're like insurance companies, like how they own football stadiums, and that kind of shit. They buy these radio stations as a business opportunity or a novelty thing for their portfolio and hire people to take these chances. You're starting to see that. And Anthony getting hired really kind of helps tell the story. Like, there's possibilities down the line that shows will be coming back, that will also include their video streaming, the podcasting. You're still allowed to do all your other stuff. This is just a vehicle to promote everything else.
Who are you thinking right now if you are the booker and you work for WABC and they're like, well, Erik, Anthony's crushing it, who else should we give a shot to? Like, who would you like to see get a chance like this?
I don't know. I'd have to really research that.
Anybody from Compound? Anybody that you have worked with?
No, I would like to
serious?
say not even just the radio thing, an actual legit television shot. Michael Malice.
Oh yeah,
when he was doing
ridiculous.
Nightshade was the perfect unintentional parody of Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. If Malice had a platform to do the show he wanted to do, where he doesn't explain, if you know Malice, you know Malice. He doesn't explain his jokes. Nope. He doesn't explain his comments, and whatever he puts out there. All right, that can't be the serious answer.
Yeah.
What is he really going for? You got to sit there and look at what he posts and study it for a while.
He's not for dumb people.
No, to see where he's going with this, and you go, all right, why did he say that? Now you have to go back through his Twitter history and go, okay, this is telling a story. Now I see what he's doing. Other people just see the one shots and they lose their mind. How dare you say that? And he's just laughing. He's
like a troll.
Or he's not even laughing. He put it out there and doesn't give a fuck what anybody else is doing.
So great.
His Nightshade show, to give him a national platform like that, you could do it on radio, but he works better with television because he would get the names purposely wrong on the graphics on there, or he would have the wrong photo of the person up there. I think Malice would be great to give a TV shot to.
Yeah, you're right. Malice should have all the success in the world. Wolfie! Hi, Frank Wolf Connell. Thank you for the super chat. It's funny how the people obsessed with weight in others are usually married to or are fatties themselves. Love the studio, by the way. Oh, and Wolfie's on our wall of fame here.
Very nice.
No, I'll lose it. I just I underestimated how little time you have for yourself as a parent. So and you know what? I was the person that would be hard on women who wouldn't lose the baby weight. But now I know that if you're doing it right, you have no time for yourself. I don't know. Maybe if I was a formula person, I could go back to my starvation diet that was really working.
You'll work yourself up to that mom that wears those horrible leggings that are out walking in the park with their Starbucks coffee and
I was
either
wearing
their phone
leggings
on
just before you came over.
Yeah, you'll get there. You'll become one of those women.
I don't know.
I see him in the park all the time.
I'll be a park mom, maybe. My favorite thing about being a mom, well, there's many, but I'm in a very cool right-wing moms group on Twitter. And sometimes there's tea in that group. Sometimes it's just pictures of the babies. Sometimes I remember when I first was put into the group, one of the first posts I saw was like someone with just a dirty diaper, like an open dirty diaper. Like, what is this? What happened here? I'm like, oh, okay. That's fun.
Yeah. Ugh, no.
Neither here nor there.
Nope.
Let's go back to my questions. Okay. Let's talk about now Opie, who was Anthony's co-host. He was the Opie part of Opie and Anthony. Mm-hmm. Do we have a video of him? He must be absolutely stewing. Because I remember when he first heard, and I covered this on other shows, when he first heard that Anthony was given a radio show, he's like, well, I have a new car and it doesn't even have AM radio in it. He's like, nobody listens to AM radio. I think if we don't have that, we could play the clip of Anthony talking about, that's probably it right there. Yeah. Oh, I love how Opie just like, he revels in not trying.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Can we not hear it unless we listen to the headphones?
Does it irk you? No. Wait, does it irk you that Anthony's getting back at the radio and you're sitting with the selfie light talking to me? No, it doesn't. Let me get rid of you. No, it's you guys are excited about that. I have no excitement, and I don't give a crap that Anthony's doing a part-time AM radio. No,
part-time. He had to get that in.
No, it's not impressive. Without Opie and Anthony, the best he could do is a 2-hour weekend shift on an AM station. No, I'm not impressed. Trust me, I'm not impressed. Tommy, do you let Ron, the waiter, know where you live? Oh my God! Of course I do. Well, I'm not a weirdo. Oh damn! Barrister 1401. This can't be good. He just gave me $20. Good morning, oh beautiful view. The tall, narrow building behind you looks like Ant giving you the middle F. The middle finger, sorry, while he does the syndicated broadcast. But please do not think of that every time you look out your window. I won't. You just wasted your $20. Barrister, are you turning into like a bad guy?
Or you could say thank you.
I thought you were one of ours. I don't know what to tell you. Like there's you know, when I think of Anthony, when I turn this stupid thing on, then the rest of the day, it's not even a thought. It's not even a thought in my head. I don't know. I guess people really need the Opie versus Anthony thing to continue.
We love it
for some odd reason. But when this
hold on, look at this candle. First of all, look at that candle. This is bad candle
placement.
Not only placement, but ownership. All that soot collecting around the rim. That's very bad. First of all, he should throw that candle out. It's basically done. And it's a little bit doing tunneling, which happens when you don't burn it evenly for an even period of time. Like first time you light a candle, you got to let it burn until all the wax is melted evenly across the top so it dries and then melts more efficiently. You don't want to have tunneling, and that's part of why there's that soot problem happening around the edge. He needs to either wipe that down with a tissue each time or throw that thing out, because that soot is going to travel up his wall and leave marks.
Are you a witch?
No, I just know about good candle stewardship or ownership.
Well, it's already a terrible candle because it's one wick.
A one wicker is fine.
No, it's not.
A
one wick candle sucks. That's almost like Yankee Candle kind of level nonsense.
I would take a one wick over no wick.
You
over
do the
no
3,
candle at
or
all.
you do the even more superior. You do the wooden wick.
You're not going to put a 3-wick candle in a bathroom like an idiot. No, you got a 1 wick.
No, like a decent person.
No, you're not putting a huge 3-wick candle in a bathroom. Are you kidding me? That's overwhelming. That's too much candle. That little
How
candle?
about having like a Glade plug-in like a normal person? Because you have a candle lit in there. Somebody walks in and you go, what happened in this bathroom before I got in here?
Are legit toxic to babies and dogs and probably people. So
Well, pick or choose. You either have a nice smelling bathroom or does your kid live?
I have like an EnviroSafe like plug-in air freshener thing.
Mm-hmm.
It only works for small enclosed spaces. They
Right.
say it lasts 45 days. That's bullshit. It lasts maybe 2 weeks.
You gotta get the wooden wicks.
Wooden wicks?
The wooden wicks are the.
Because
and I learned that from Michael Malice because he's a candle aficionado.
They go like.
Yep.
See, if Michael Mouse was here, he would tell you why this tunneling is problematic and the soot problem is out of control.
But not with a single wick like that.
Yeah, if he were a man of class, Opie would get himself a triple wicker behind him. But he's not.
Candles. He probably didn't even light that.
He probably doesn't even
know. Probably been lit
candle.
from the night before because his family lit it.
That candle tells me everything I need to know about Opie. It's just
that it's going to burn his apartment down.
It's burnt out. It's tired. It needs to just be thrown away.
I do enjoy the fact that he has his own watermark on his window there for his podcast.
Is that just on his window or is that on the screen?
It's just some cheap plastic thing that has the logo printed on it that he has in the background there.
Oh, wow.
To watermark the podcast.
Jeez.
Instead of maybe getting that,
like a logo,
or that infuser stuff that you can put out on your window to decrease the sun coming in, so it doesn't affect the lighting and the camera in there. Yeah, the diffuser stuff.
But I wouldn't want that because I love being able to see his ring light.
Yeah,
it looks like a little halo, like he's Christ-like.
Like he's dead. That's terrible. I can't believe you even said that.
No, we love Opie. He's the saltiest dog. He is so.
He is. Look at his skin.
See-through. You just can he's seething. He's very jealous.
I used to see things. People were wondering if he had like eye work done because he's squinting all the time.
Oh
but
yeah, he
it's
does
because
look a little chinky.
I think it's because he doesn't wear sunglasses out on the beach all the time, so he's just constantly like this
in squint mode.
But that it's like he's permanent wrinkles around the eyes.
And
I don't
that's
think
what happened to my brother. My brother never wore sunglasses.
I don't think he moisturizes, lotions, any of that stuff.
Feet.
So he's just turning into old man in the sea there.
Yeah, not a good look.
How petty we're being with this.
Stop it. We could be way worse. We're being easy. Matthew Hammond, hello, darling, from the Wall of Fame here. Nick DePaul would be great on TV. Yes, he would. Chef Nick Nero, thank you for the 5. It's sad how much of a whiny C Opie has become. Him and Howard should touch swords. Yes, they should.
This is a good time for Ope. I think.
No, it's not.
No, it
all
is.
He has are his glory days. All he has, like his clips, anything he posts that.
For the direction and the path he's choosing to remain on, this is good for him. He will always publicly say no, it's not. He doesn't care, whatever. All he does is talk about the O&A days. Mm-hmm. All he does is talk. About a year and a half ago, too, I think Carl from Who Are These Podcasts has the clip where Ope said he was never going to talk about O&A again. He was done.
That's all he had.
And then all his specialty clips were all just O&A stuff. And then he kept talking about it. And he goes for... A lot of people saying he keeps falling for the people that are trolling him. That could be a possibility. I'm going to think on the other side of it that I think he's smart enough to know that he's going to pretend to be offended by that because it means money. It means attention for what he's doing. And any attention's good attention, I think, at this point to him. So I think he's smart enough to know that if I just keep trying to play like I don't care, and then after he says he doesn't care, he's immediately offended by whatever somebody super chats him. I don't think he's that dumb. I'm not saying he's that smart, but I don't think he's that dumb.
Offended, he wouldn't even bring it up.
I think he's steering into this now because it means attention. It means whatever.
Lol. He's embracing lol cowhood.
Right. I do know for a fact. I know someone he's talked to that he's not. He's not okay with the current situation for Anthony.
Shucks. No.
I used to think when he would talk about he had radio things that he was talking about, I didn't think they were all true. I thought maybe he had one because there was just some minute details he was giving, and I go, oh wait, I think I know the building he's talking about. I think because I know it's not a place he's been to. I'm sorry, a place that we worked at, so it's a place he had to have gone to, and I'm like, all right, he must have been there for something. A few of the others, I thought he's just making this up. And then after Anthony's deal, on Carl's show, I guess he had posted some screen caps or something of a conversation that he had. So I guess they did reach out to him. I don't know why he didn't take an opportunity that was given. He keeps saying it's about the money. I know Ant was pointing that out too, about the money.
Yeah.
But Ant was smart enough to see the forest through the trees on that and saying, well, Hope doesn't have to worry about the money. At least I don't think he does. Ant doesn't have to worry about the money.
They all made millions.
So take the opportunity and make what you can out of it. And he won't do it because he keeps saying, it's like, well, they're not paying me enough for... Do you need the money? Do you need to have that?
Someone on, I think Carl's
it's just
show
another cop-out.
made it the point of like, oh, it's not enough money. It's like, you are currently doing a show for no money on YouTube. So why would you have a problem with that?
He's always been... It's been... Like, I gave up trying to figure it out. But I just reside on the fact that's just how he's always going to be. He's afraid to try.
Yes.
He's afraid to compete. You could, if he had tried,
he's a fear of failure.
He built a studio. He built a proper audio network, video network, all that. And if he kept generating stuff, whatever,
right.
And he wasn't, I mean, I guess technically we're all competing against the world. If anyone has a show, we're competing against them. But if he felt Anthony was his direct competition or somebody like that, and he kept putting out content and all these things, and you could see the effort he was doing.
Right.
And over time, you could see the production elements were getting better. The graphics were looking better. The cameras were, you could see that.
It was falling
and he
short.
wasn't winning. You could say his content sucks or whatever, but you could say, well, at least he was trying. You know, you could see that he was really trying to make something of it, or he's making something. He's just not as successful as this person, but he's doing well, or you could see it. Here is just, I'm not going to be instantly this, so why ever try?
And he could hire, he's got money. I mean, how many of us who are not millionaires like he is can
You're not?
Can get
I assume
the right
wrong.
equipment and can get people, you know, to run a show, or at least teach him what to do, or like set up his situation.
He's had all.
The plaque is askew. I want it more.
It's like a clock.
Askew. I might have to move it. It's pretty.
You should turn this place like into the Haunted Mansion. You know, where things just move throughout the show like that. Yeah, stuff appears behind the couch. He's had plenty of opportunities since the serious thing fell apart. I was somewhat at Westwood One during his time at Westwood One. I was supposed to be working on another person's show, and Tim Sabian came to me and said, we're bringing Opie in. We'd like you to run all his stuff for him. You know him. He'll work with you. And I said, Tim, I haven't talked to him since the day he slammed the door. He yelled at me and slammed the door, and he walked out.
He yelled at you?
Yeah, that was the last time I saw him. He came into our old studios. We had two studios. There was the main room, and then there was my control room where I would run the secondary stuff, commercials, satellite stuff, all that shit. And the day he got outage, where Sherrod Small admitted that video existed and that everybody at the Comedy Cellar saw it and what have you, that was his last show.
It was Sherrod that outed him?
Yeah, because Sherrod's like, oh, I saw it. Everybody down at the Cellar saw it. Like, and Oak kept telling the lawyer and stuff that video didn't exist.
Oh, shoot.
And then he had to say it was G-rated at best, so he had already lied to them.
Oh,
and
no.
The staff, myself, I wasn't even involved in it. Like, when that incident took place, I was still in the studio. They all left. The show was over. They left, and that bathroom situation happened. I was still in the studio running stuff and to get to the top of the hour for the next thing to take over. So I wasn't anywhere near it. But we all had to talk to the lawyers. We had to talk to management when this whole stuff was unfolding. And I was like, I had nothing. I was like, I have no part of this. I wasn't there. I can't even tell you what was going on. So I thought, my opinion, he thought we were all going to cover for him or say that this wasn't that big a deal and that Roland was being crazy. And I had to say, it's like, I was there. What can I tell you? If I tell you anything either direction, I'm lying to you. Obviously, I was not there. So I couldn't say anything. The other guys told their stories or whatever they said to them. Eventually, this was unfolding. But that last show, he walked around to my studio with Vic Henley in tow. Do you know who Vic Henley was?
Yeah.
Right. And I could see, because the back part of my studio was all a glass wall to the hallway. So I could see Vic over here, and Ope came into my door over here, and he opened the door, and it's one of those big like Navy airlock doors where it's pressurized to keep it closed and soundproof and whatever.
Right.
So he pushes the door open, and the last thing he said to me, he goes, thanks. It was like either thanks for having my back or thanks for defending me. I really fucking appreciate it. And then turn around to try to slam the door, but the door is an airlock thing, so it doesn't slam. And he just walked off, and I turned and looked, and Vic just kind of went like this to me, and they walked off. That was the last time I ever saw him.
Wow.
Right? Then I got the phone call around, I think it was 4th of July or something. He's done. And which was ironic because that's when I got the phone call that Anthony was fired on a 4th of July, same day. But when I was going over to Westwood, again, I was offered a job producing somebody else's show. Tim came to me and he said, hey, I really want you to produce Opie's thing. You know how this works. We can work together. And I know Tim, so it makes sense. I said, Tim, I haven't talked to him since that day. He won't talk to anybody. I said, I'm willing to discuss this, but you got to make some kind of meeting happen where we're all sitting together so we can talk this out. Tim goes, not a problem. We'll take care of it. Tim goes and does all this. And God bless Tim. Tim threw him that lifeline to get him on Westwood One because there was nobody that wanted him.
Wow.
Ope wouldn't have the meeting. Ope didn't care, didn't want to know that. In fact, he was offering other producers and stuff that we had way less money to have them come over to produce his thing, and they all told him no. So Ope went without a producer. Tim was trying to get me over there, and because they were moving things, I lost the other show gig because that show was about to launch, and they had to put a different producer in that show. Man. So her show took off, and then I was sitting there without the other gig I was supposed to have because Tim asked me to wait, and I did, and it didn't happen. But the point of all of this was that he had so many opportunities and so many people around him that were trying to guide him. Tim's like, we're going to build you a studio here. Wow. Come do a studio, do a proper thing. He wouldn't do it. He wanted to walk around Manhattan. Wow. He wanted to sit on couches in lobbies and do all this weird shit. Wow. He had so many people that were just like, oh, let me build this infrastructure for you. Let me show you how to do all this stuff. Nope. Didn't want to do it. I don't know if it was a bullshit pride thing. I think he's afraid.
Yeah.
But what do I know? He's never taken a chance since.
Wow.
And it's just easy to say, I do my own thing. I don't care. I'm happy. He's not happy.
How can you
I know
happy?
People that know him and have told me, and it's not like I'm not going to reveal those conversations and stuff.
Ooh, reveal them. No, I'm kidding.
But it's just like they tell me, and a lot of it's unsolicited. And it's like, hey, I talked to I'm like, oh, how's he doing? Oh, and then they would tell me whatever. And I go, well, that's his own doing. They all know. But he's had all these opportunities, and it got to the point where it was sad and depressing seeing this, to the point where now it's just numb, and it's like, well, what are you going to do? It's somebody who doesn't want to help themselves that had all the opportunities in the world.
Right.
And this is somebody also, because a lot of people think that I'm shitting on Opie all the time. I'm never talking about it. Look at any of my stuff. I never mention him unless I'm asked.
Except for right now.
Well, that, or if when I was working with Anthony, if something like that came up.
Yeah.
It's sad, depressing. I'm numb to it now. I don't really care. He gave me an amazing opportunity. Both him and Anthony gave me an amazing opportunity 20 years ago with all of this stuff. And not being able to help those people. I mean, I help Anthony where I can, but not being able to help the other guy because of him being so fucking thick-headed.
Yeah.
And just can't get out of his own way.
He's his own
and you go
enemy.
like, you could be so much more. Even Anthony has said you could do so much more if he just
let people help him. Not even like he has to try. Just let people
listen to people who are legitimately trying to help you. Learn from things. You see other streamers, you see other podcasters. What are they doing that you're not? Hey, I would like to do that too. And then you incorporate that in and then go, okay, now I'm kind of doing what they're doing. How do I make this different so that it's my thing? That's what you do with all of these things. He won't do it. And what do you do at this point? You still get asked. It's like, what do you think about Opie? I don't. I don't. We get tagged on things all the time, especially in the last several weeks. We get tagged on a ton of things.
Yeah.
Because Anthony will make a comment about Opie's thing, we're tagged in it. Opie makes a comment about Anthony's thing, we're tagged in it. So it's not like you can avoid seeing this stuff. It's whether you want to go or watch it or not. But what do you want us to do? None of us can help the guy. He doesn't want any help. So
he's too proud.
The audience wants to see either them get together again, or it's ultimately, I think, but why now? At this point, there's no point in doing it. So what's the other alternative? They want blood. They want to see everybody, it's like gladiator time. They want to see everybody kill each other, which I get is entertaining. I fully do. But what do you want us to do?
Yeah.
The guy doesn't want to interact with everybody else, talks to each other in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
He's just the odd man out, and that's by his own doing.
But he's made himself that way.
Yeah.
And I think even, even if Anthony were like, stop broadcasting or drop dead or something, I still that wouldn't even make Opie want to try, because he'd always be compared to Anthony no matter what he did. It's just, that's even sadder than I thought. It's he's afraid of failure. I mean, people are afraid of failure or afraid of success, but it's like it's strange because it's like he had mainstream success, so he just is crippled by the comparison to Anthony.
And if you're that successful and you're that happy with your life and financially stable, then why put yourself through any of this? Why are you on there streaming every day?
Yeah,
you obviously still love doing some resemblance of broadcasting or a show or whatever. So if that's the drive you have, and it's not a livelihood, it's not for insurance, it's not for something that everybody else is the reason why they work well into their 60s, 70s, whatever. You have this drive, somewhat passion to do this. Why not try to do the best you can and be the happiest with it? And it's like it's almost like torture to him in a way.
He goes live. He does it. He wants to connect with listeners.
It's like it's like he's a cutter. Like he's doing this to get pain, to feel like he's alive and doing something. And you just go, dude, why are you putting yourself through this?
Right.
If you really want to do this, take a chance and make something happen for yourself. Look at every comic out there that does a podcast, whether it's moderately successful to Rogan and Tim Dillon level or Theo Vaughn level, Bill Burr, all those things. And you go, they just are doing what they want. They don't give a fuck if the audience is there or not. And it grew to something. Do that. Take a chance on it.
Yeah. He still could. Satoshi, thank you for the orange boy. Iraq Army Nika.
Who's it? Thank you. The name moved. It just showed up on the screen.
Zato.
I couldn't see who it is. Thank you,
Zato.
sir, ma'am, whatever the case may be. So,
yeah.
Anyway.
Wow. Anyway. So now, gosh, in the Jim and Sam show is no more. It's just Sam. Jim has left to pursue YouTube, and he does a show now with his
touring.
wife.
He once it was announced he was done, his social media put out stuff. He's got a whole tour throughout the year, and good for him.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it was the contract not good enough, or just wanting his own time back?
I don't know. I haven't talked to Jim about that stuff. I only know based on the two podcasts he did with Anthony, and that first podcast where he announced it, where he wasn't coming back, where he had not Tim Miller, TJ Miller on there, where he said he wasn't going back to Sirius. He said he misses the money, but everything else he knew something was going. I haven't been there in years, so I have no idea. But he said he knew this was coming eventually, and he didn't like what they were doing, and I guess he's not happy with it. So he's like, I'm done. He didn't renew, or they didn't renew. I don't know how that went down, but he doesn't seem to miss it that much. He said, yeah, I missed the money, but everything else he doesn't seem to. He's indifferent on, I guess.
So what did he have a problem with, like the executives?
I have no idea.
Or
I don't know. I wasn't. I haven't listened to it. I don't know any of the stuff that's going on over there, as far as that show goes, or that little world. But he seems happier. He's doing great with his quote unquote advice show, which it's hilarious. And then the show he's doing it with his wife and all his tour dates and stuff. I think he just did Dan Soder's podcast, so I haven't checked that out.
I'll check that out.
But he seems happy, so good. I'm glad for Jim. I'm glad he's out doing more comedy stuff. And
yeah, he's so funny.
I'm sure he'll wind up somewhere. I'm sure he'll wind up as a guest on Anthony's show.
Oh,
for the
yeah.
radio thing, and
I'm sure he won't be.
he might come on here.
Oh my goodness, that would be great, Jim. If you're listening, I'll just
do
text
a swap
him.
where you do his sword fight. Is that what it? Sword fight with him and his wife, and then he come on here.
Get in the middle of that. That sounds fun.
Yeah, Jim's open to doing more podcast stuff. So
okay, cool. Maybe I'll text him. How neat. And you know where Jim is not going to end up? Probably with a ring light reflecting back at him.
He could do whatever he wants.
That's true.
Don't tell him what he can't do.
The sky's the limit. He could do Opie level show.
Mm.
Did I miss a super? And did we want to watch the rest of that Opie reaction?
Do we need to? Like, is
we
there
don't
really
have
any need to? Everybody's seen it.
No.
Everybody's on top of it. It's just... It's delusional and sad.
I read them all.
It's just going to be what it is. He's never gonna.
Yeah, I
want
do.
To help himself.
I feel sort of bad for him now.
I don't.
Yeah,
I used to.
He wakes up every day and goes, "I will continue to use the ring light and do this kind of a show. Low effort."
For a couple years after all that, I did feel bad for him. But then I'm like, why am I feeling bad for a millionaire? Who doesn't give a shit about anybody else that worked with him or had anything to do with that show, the success of that show, what have you, and he's just choosing to remain miserable.
True.
Because he can say, everybody knows his tells now. Like Carl and WATP have really done a good job of showing the psychosis of him, and here's where he's lying. Here's where he's saying this because he's you know the roadmap.
They're like
for this
body
now.
language experts at this point.
He's not happy. He's miserable. He keeps torturing himself with this. He's not gonna do anything. And people, I've had people ask me where they're like, "Well, if he wrote to you, would you talk to him?" Yeah, I would talk. Like, and put it this way, always does this thing. It's like, I don't know their show. I don't watch. I don't whatever. It's like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Like, I understand you're not watching their episodes all the time of whoever. I get it. But to check it out, to at least know what's going on, you should, because that's the sign of a good broadcaster, to know a little of everything going on. Especially if they're talking about you. There's people out there clipping everything now. So if you I don't have a subscription to that service, can somebody find me the clip of where they're talking? Somebody's going to send you the clip. Yep. So it's never been easier to get this information.
Yep.
Okay, you're aware of it? Yes. Okay. The only excuse you have is I wasn't aware of it. That's why I didn't say anything. Okay, well, now you're aware of it. Will you check it out? Go ahead. Whether you want to react to it or not is up to you. But to not know, to play that whole thing off.
Yeah, and your chat is going to be asking you about it.
It is what it is. Like, would you talk to him? Maybe. Yeah, I would talk to him, but there's a lot of shit that would have to be sorted out before anything could ever move forward. I love getting the messages of I think it's only one guy with like several Twitter accounts.
Really?
But yeah, because it's always sort of the same wording with the message, but it's like Opie says you stole all his stuff. And
like what?
There was a clip a long time ago. Opie said, I stole the archive of O&A. Like all that stuff was for him, and I won't give it to him. It was something along those lines, right? My job was to archive everything. My job was to cut all that stuff up, best of, save every show, transcribe things, all of that stuff. That was my job. But my job was that for the show. I begged for years, and I've talked about it on Ant's show, and he can attest to this too. When our agent was still alive, Bob Eatman, there were times they were coming around. CBS was getting sold to this company, Entercom, at the time. The rights were up in the air for the O&A stuff. I'm like, I talked with Bob. They worked a deal to get it real cheap. Let's buy and own the material. Wouldn't do it. Why? It's all over YouTube. What do I care? It's on YouTube. We don't need to own this stuff. But we should own the rights to it. Wouldn't do it. Entercom then changes into this company, Odyssey, which is what it is now. And terrible name. And they the ownership is now we're like 3 companies removed from the ownership. The rights got lost. I went through proper channels. There was a movie that was being produced that wanted to use a clip of O&A in the movie. Sony reached out to me, and said, hey, we were told you have the stuff here. What do we have to do to get permission for this stuff? So I said, well, I have this stuff, but I got to see about as far as the Sirius XM stuff goes. Oh, well, they claim they don't own it. What do you mean? So Sony's now telling me that they went to Sirius. Sirius says they don't have it. They don't own it. They want nothing to do with it. Can you send me that correspondence? They sent me those emails. I contact an entertainment lawyer. I go, here's the thing. Well, who has them? Me. They don't have anything? No. How do you know they don't have anything? Because I didn't give it to them. When I left, the hard drives and stuff they thought that they had with all the material were dummy files. And they were all labeled, but there was nothing on them.
Wow.
So they took the stuff. There's nothing there. They had nothing. And I blew everything out of the computers. It's all sitting on hard drives in air sealed containers at my place. I have all of it. Right?
Wow.
So I said to Sony, here's everything. They send me the Sirius XM stuff. We checked out one more time with Sirius. They wanted nothing to do with it. In a roundabout way, they were saying, contact Opie and Anthony. So I show Anthony. He saw the paperwork. It was a movie. I think it was called, what is it called? It stars Jennifer Lopez, and I think Jennifer Lawrence is in it too. I think it's called Hustlers.
Okay.
It's based on the life of Cardi B. It's strippers who would drug guys and then rob them.
Oh yeah, Hustlers.
That's the movie, right?
Great movie.
So from what I understood, there was supposed to be some scenes where like the guy who's driving them around has Opie and Anthony on the car radio.
Oh.
And I think one of the clips they were looking was some clip where Patrice was in studio.
Oh, wow.
So while Sony was going through all this stuff, I got proof that Sirius doesn't have the ownership of it, doesn't claim ownership of it.
Wow.
CBS lost it. So based on the entertainment laws and everything, it was who holds the masters, holds the ownership. Somewhere down the line, maybe I'd have to pay some kind of fee to Sirius for anything big, but they don't really have a leg to stand on with this either. So it became mine.
Wow.
And I asked Anthony, I go, do you want to own this? Do you want to do this stuff? And he's like, I'm good with you holding on to it. Same thing with Norton. He didn't want whatever. So I'm preserving it. I'm holding on to it. It's not like I wouldn't give it to them.
You're an archivist.
I begged them to take this, and
Yeah.
they didn't want to. So I didn't want it all to be destroyed. It sits there preserved. Goes back to Opie. Yeah, there was a clip where he's saying, it's like, oh, I stole all this stuff from him. It's like, I begged you for years to buy the thing, have the ownership, take the copies. Wouldn't do it. Now, 10 plus years later,
he wants the clips
he
for
wants them
YouTube.
for YouTube. He's expecting just to hand stuff over. I got a text from him at one point, and he's like, just send me what you think I deserve, what you think is mine, or something like that.
Wow.
I sent him a few things that were pre-NEW stuff, and that was all I gave him. It's like, well, fuck you, dude. You don't want to talk. You don't want to be a human
if
being.
he was
Why am I
nicer
going to help
to
you?
maybe he could get
Right.
more.
Let me see if I have. Yeah. All right. I have the text here. So. Yeah, I'm not going to on here show the exact wording on it.
Show
but
the camera.
I can.
Ooh.
Right there.
Okay.
There's a whole thing from it, but you can see
Okay.
that it was legit.
Yeah.
Right. So
Confirmed.
I had told
Received.
him, and I said I was willing to work this out with you, but you won't do that. So
I like how you held the phone so that I couldn't text Opie.
yeah, or see his number.
Oh.
So yeah, so that whole thing, it's just ridiculous and such petty bullshit on his part, where it's just like, I'm willing to help you. I've always been willing to help you. You don't want to let anybody help you because for some reason that admits that you're incompetent or you're
Right.
unable to do something, whatever. We all know you are, but let's be adult about this, and he won't. So, unfortunately, I've never had any real kind of dealing with him ever since the last day of Sirius. There's been very rare texts out of the blue from him for something, but like that last one, you could see at the end, that one, he's like, he's looking to make clips. He wants the archive and stuff. And I never responded. And that was like 2 years ago.
Wow. Yeah, he needs it for his glory days.
No, he should. Him and Anthony
Yeah,
are the
they
ones
should.
who should be putting these clips on their
That's
channels.
true. It was their
It's
work.
their content. I mean, it's all of that stuff everywhere. fan sites and what have you. And I get all of that. That's great that they do that. But the ones who should be putting the official copies out there, even with wraparounds with their thoughts about some of these things, or even doing like a pop-up video kind of thing with it, is either Opie or Anthony. They should be the ones to be doing it. Ant doesn't want to do it. Ope is now trying to do it, but I'm not going to help that out because it's bullshit. Why he's trying to do that now. Those are the two that should own their archives. Those are the two that should be doing those things. But one is happy with his life, has moved on to other things. The other one is just in a weird abyss of emotions. And best of luck to him.
Yeah. I wonder if it's because he knows, like, he would need someone else, like someone funny.
He
can't really carry
yeah.
a show by himself.
He had all the opportunities in the world to do the things the right way, and a lot of people around him, nobody wants to help him, and it's just, like I said, it's not even sad anymore. It's
you're right.
It's
like he's a grown man. He makes these decisions every day. He wakes up and he chooses his life, and so
he still could change the whole path of this thing. He could do everyone's into redemption arcs and shit now, but
people
he
would
could
love it.
have a complete baby face, to use wrestling, a baby face run if he reached out to people and talked like a normal human being to people.
Yeah.
And
he doesn't have to be a stuttering John.
That's even insulting to Opie to say he's that. He could be doing a lot of better things. He just isn't. So what are you going to do?
Yeah. People have tried.
That should be enough to clip your show.
Yes. Are you happy, everyone?
Felty, is there anything there in that?
I think there could be.
I saw him writing stuff down, so I'm sure there's stuff there.
He's doing great.
Yeah,
doing great so far.
I can't believe how the time has flown. I was thinking like, oh my god, what are we going to talk about? But here we are. It's 11 o'clock.
We went long.
We did. I asked you everything. We talked about everything I wanted to talk about.
All right, good.
Any closing thoughts, feelings?
No.
The
radio business sucks. Television is falling. Television. This is the year television falls apart.
Oh, I can't wait.
We saw it right after the election. Week after the election, NBC had an all hands on deck meeting.
Oh.
That they were separating their cable channels from NBC proper.
Oh my God.
And they're all under this generic corporation where they moved CNBC, MSNBC, USA, Golf Channel, all to these other parts. And throughout this year, they don't even know if like CNBC and MSNBC are going to be able to keep that name because they're not part of NBC News anymore.
Oh, wow.
So they may have to rebrand those networks or sell them off, which I think is what's going to happen.
Wow.
Viacom is selling MTV and Comedy Central because they don't make any money.
Oh, my God. And wasn't Trump, didn't he say the other day that like he considers basically like CNN and MSNBC to be armed to the Democratic Party and like what they did, it was wrong and maybe they don't deserve to be.
That's all hearsay. That doesn't even matter anymore. It's cable channels don't mean anything to all these networks. Fox, CBS, NBC, ABC, they all had, if you still have cable, you're scrolling through tons of channels that only have one program on throughout the whole day. Like this one channel only has this same house flipping series. True TV only has Impractical Jokers the entire day. They have no other programming.
Damn.
TBS is just running movies. Like there's nothing really there to watch or to sell. The networks are starting to realize, because now every network has a movie company pairing, their cable channels are worthless. So why do we have all these cable channels like FX or Freeform, I think is a Disney thing. This is the year they sell all that stuff off or start playing stuff. So the bloodbath you're seeing with radio, I've seen, and I've talked to friends that are in television because I looked over there. I'm like, is there anything over there? What's going on? They're all panicked because there's nothing over there. So you're going to see the network start shrinking down.
Wow.
Everything's on streaming. Everything's on streaming. Your music, your podcasts, your video stuff like we're doing here is all streaming stuff. You don't need cable channels anymore. You don't need cable TV. You just
many people don't even have.
You have your locals and you have sports.
In their house.
I think that's the only thing keeping cable alive is the sports contracts, because you got to be in certain markets to watch your teams.
P3 has a good comment here with live sports, especially NFL. You now need 10 different streaming subscriptions just to watch your teams.
Yeah.
And I find that's true. Like Frank watches the Yankees, and sometimes
I was going to say, yeah.
They're on Yes Network, and some games.
I have family members, Yankees fans, and they're all screaming about the fact that I guess some of them are on Apple, some of them are on Amazon, like wherever you got to go. And now this new deal where they're now getting rid of the blackout games. So if you're in the market, they used to have to black out games because it was going to be on broadcast television, so you couldn't get it on the streaming network or whatever. Now you can get the blackout games, but you have to pay a lot of money for this new service. If you're like a Mets fan or a Yankees fan and you're outside of the market, they know it's all like the VPN shit now. They know you're not, if you're living in Florida, it's not uncommon that people in Florida are a Red Sox fan, Yankees fan, Mets fan, a Cardinals fan, because they all moved there. Now you're down there. Well, you can't watch the game. You're not in New York.
That's ridiculous.
So now you got to figure out a VPN, your home network thing. Like they've got it all toggled down there. Sports was the only thing I think keeping cable together. Wow. As soon as people realize they can get the fuck away from all that, and if the sports networks are smart enough just to make exclusive deals with the streaming, like NFL is only available on Amazon Prime, MLB is only available on Netflix or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
Then the cable shit goes away. All those broadcast channels go away.
Wow.
Television is the next thing to fall.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yep. So streaming, YouTube, all of that shit is the future. It's just a matter of they're going to whittle that down too, because there's too many podcasts, too many live streams. And if it's
in fact, this is our last episode, everyone.
Of course it is, because the show was so boring. You had a really boring guest on.
Yes, Opie was right.
Opie was 100% correct.
It's
I take back everything I ever said. You're right.
Yeah.
But that's it. The whole media world is in disarray, and I'm trying to be positive, but everybody I talk to that I know in every facet of it all have the same concerns. It's like, how is this all falling apart at the same time? And then you just realize, because it's incompetence. And it was on live support. And they didn't plan for the future. Wow. So now, through the ashes comes a phoenix, and we'll see what the next way of, who knows? But in a year or two, the way you're doing stuff like this might be outdated. There might be a new way of doing all of this stuff, and
might be
streaming
just
on YouTube will be that, or direct thoughts being transmitted into your head. Oh, everyone chip settings, Skylink, all of that stuff, Starlink, whatever the Elon Musk thing is.
Oh my gosh! Yes, everyone, come see me. I have a couple of tour dates. I'll be in Fort Wayne, Indiana, March 29th. How exciting! You see the dates scrolling by. Mount Kisco, Jazz on Main, May 17th. I'll be back on Long Island. I think it's August 8th and 9th at the Brokerage. And somewhere in Ohio, Canton, Massillon in October. Go to ChrissieMayr.com for tickets. The Boomers were left behind. You don't feel bad for the Boomers. Had it too good for too long. They had the best of everything.
Well, once the Boomers die out, I hate all that generational shit. When they're like, oh, the Boomers are this, and the Millennials and the Gen Zers. They're all fucking idiots for different reasons. All of them are. The Gen X people are the ones who have been forgotten, and rightfully so. They don't want the attention.
No.
When you're in that Gen X demographic, here's what you know. The Boomers still have everything and kind of run a lot of stuff right now, but they're on the tail end of their generational shift. Once they're gone, all that goes to the Gen X people.
They're not going to be prepared.
They're going to have everything, but they're not going to want to be acknowledged or want to do anything. They're going to have it. They just don't want to run it. So they'll let the millennials and younger run it, not own anything, not have anything for it. And then it dies out with this generation.
Oh.
So the money, all of that stuff dies out with the Gen X generation. And then everybody
kind of a black pill, E-Rock.
Has to, the math adds up. And, you'll find the youngers there, the ones that can't afford houses, the one that can't do all of this stuff here, are the ones that are most outspoken. And yeah, they should be, but they're the ones that are the most entitled that have nothing, which is a weird juxtaposition. I don't understand where the entitlement comes from, but you don't have anything to feel entitled about. And when that whole generational thing comes about, it's like, I'm not arguing with you. I know my place. I know where I'm at. I know how the rest of my life's going to go. I'm not rocking that boat. I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be like, all right, keep my head down. You guys can fight it out online to see if that even remotely becomes anything. I'm just going to sit over here and I wake up, I'll play my video game for a few hours and then go out on the beach and I'm good.
Said like a true millennial.
Gen X.
Really?
I'm the tail end of it, technically, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, but
I'm an elder millennial.
can I plug my stuff and then we can go?
Yes, please.
It's Erik Nagel, all one word. Erik with a K, spelt correctly. It's Erik Nagel across the board, all the social media platforms, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, all that nonsense. My show's available through iHeartRadio. That's the audio. That's another thing too. I've been doing more and more video for my show in the last few years, but I can't go full on video because I still have a huge audience through the iHeart stuff. So it's like, why cut that off?
Okay.
So, iHeartRadio carries the show, but you can get it on Apple, Spotify, all of those places. And we go live every week as we do the show. YouTube and Twitch, it's Erik Nagel, and the produced videos, the clips, all of that stuff. It's all right there.
Awesome. Everybody check out Erik's stuff. Follow him on Twitter. Subscribe to his iHeartRadio show. You know you want to. Thank you for joining me here today on the inaugural. I should have busted out the good Prosecco for this on the inaugural NightMayr podcast show.
I get it now. Wordplay humor. Fucking go you.
Oh, you don't know what you just said. Thank you, E-Rock.
Awesome.
This was fun. Thank you to the chat for your comments and questions and for the super chats and for everybody on this board. Let us know. Let me know who you want on a future episode. Who you want to be sitting on this couch here.
You got to get Norton on here.
Yes, I would love to have Norton.
Or if Norton will do a character.
Oh my God.
If you could get Chip on here instead of Jim.
I miss Chip so much.
Everybody misses Chip. Everybody misses Chip except Jim.
He's like, I'm good. I'm good.
But he's right. He's like, it ran its course, but everybody didn't want it to die. Everybody
but that's
still
the
loves
best
Chip.
time to go out on a high note.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
Maybe I'll get Opie here yet. But he'll watch this and see how not boring it is.
No, I can't do that.
No,
Tuki does a great Opie impersonation.
He does.
I just saw the clip the other day, and I was like, yeah, that's pretty spot on.
Don't tell me I need a bigger couch. I was debating between this love seat and the full couch version for days and days, and I went with the love seat version because I'm like, I'm not gonna have 3 people in here at once.
Felty, you should go do the Costanza pose on this couch.
Yeah.
That should be the artwork.
Let's do a photo shoot.
Get that printed out, put it on the wall here.
I don't know what the Costanza pose is.
In the underwear and socks on the couch.
I watch Friends.
Friends?
Seinfeld was on after Friends.
How do I even know you? I like despise people who watch Friends.
Look, hold on. I loved
Monica
Friends
and
growing
Chandler
up.
is a love story for
That's
the
like
ages.
people who like Friends have no personality. It doesn't fit with you at all.
Well, I have personality.
All the worst people
Could you
like
be
Friends.
more out of touch?
I am so in touch.
Ugh. I'm gonna pretend I didn't hear that. Anyway.
Like everyone's gonna
watching,
pretend
guys.
they didn't hear this show.
Yes.
That's where you cut it.
See you next time. Bye.